this is the only official website. And this is the only place where you need to go and do this calculation. This is free tool. Once you click here, almost every 2 weeks, the IRCC conducts a round of invitation under Express Entry system. And here, which is a point-based system, which is called comprehensive ranking system, you enter the pool and I'll show you how the scores gets assigned. And it's quite transparent. The description here gives you the rounds of invitation detail, which we will see how this is done. Date, round type, whether it is general round of invitation, program specific, category based round of invitation, how many invitations were issued, and comprehensive ranking system score of the lowest ranked candidate invited. Now, if you come down here, right, from the time Express Entry has started, so far we have had 310 invitation draw, which has happened. And this is the latest one, August 15. So you see here 308, 309 and 310. All three happened almost 1 day apart, August 13, 14, 15. And each round type had different program. Here it was French language proficiency. That means you enter the pool with your French language proficiency as the main thing. And here the invitation issued was 2000. The lowest score 394. Again, when it comes to Canadian experience class, that means you have worked in Canada for a specific period of time. And with that, you entered the pool. If you had 509, that is the minimum or above, and you had entered at the right time, total number of invitation issued is 3,200. Then comes the provincial nominee program, where province, they have specific skill required and you meet that skill requirement. So the province have invited how many candidates? 763, and the lowest score is 690. So when any province invites you, you get some additional point, which we will see in the point section. Then you see here healthcare occupation. So here on July 5th, that was 301, 3,750 candidates were invited, and 445 was the lowest score. That is the minimum score what was required. Then you see these are all the general. That means anyone who was in the pool with the score of 529, they got this invitation. Accordingly, you can go and check the trend, how it has been so far. So this will give you an idea of how competitive this Express Entry system is. Now, if you don't know where the scores are coming from, this is where the entire detail is given, like for age, level of education, official language proficiency, Canada, work experience, with spouse, without spouse. So this is how the point get calculated. It's a detailed thing. I'll show you how you can use the calculator, find where you stand. But before that, let me go through one of the round of invitation. For example, this is the latest one, 310. Once you click here, see here, this is how the round of invitation detail comes. And here, as we saw, 2000 invitations, rank required to be invited to apply, 2000 or above. Date and time of the round. So date and time both are mentioned here. Lowest score 394, and the tie breaking rule. That is, if you had entered the pool on or before this date and time and you had the score 390, then you make it. In case somebody had entered on July 8 and still had this score, they would not be getting the invitation to apply as per this tie breaking rule. If you had 395, then you could have made it even without this tie breaking rule. So when the cutoff is declared, 394 for example here, and 394 has multiple candidates with different date, then candidate who had entered on or before this date, they get the invitation. So I hope this gives you some context. Every time the draw is held, it also shows you the distribution of candidate in Express Entry pool as on the date. For example, this shows for August 14, and you see here how many candidate has 601 to 1200, 125. Accordingly, 501 to 600, 11,055. And this is a very broad category. But if you come down here, 451 to 500, they have given the total here, and they have given the subdivisions here. 451 to 460, these many candidates. 461 to 470, these many candidates, and accordingly till 491 to 500, these many candidates. So when you total all of this, it comes to 61 to 10. So you know how the pool is and how the competition is, and when you are entering the competition, how many people are there with you in the pool or how many are ahead of you. So this will give you some indication. Now, what you will not know here is that how many are from a particular type of category. You would know where you are eligible for if you have French language proficiency, or you have Canadian experience class, you would know. But again, provincial nominee program, you will not know much. You would be in the pool, and if your skill is in demand, then you will get invited. But when it comes to general draw, as the name suggests, it is for everyone who has the score and who is in the pool within the specified time. Now let's come to the CRS score calculator. So once you type, you see here, this is the only official website. And this is the only place where you need to go and do this calculation. This is free tool. Once you click here, you see here, this is the Government of Canada website. So legal disclaimer here that this tool is intended solely for general guidance and reference purpose only. In event of any discrepancy between the result of this questionnaire and that provided by the Express Entry electronic system, this you will get once you create your Express Entry profile and submit your application. You will be given a score, and that score is being talked about here. The result provided by the system shall govern in accordance with provision of Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. So while you can use this tool is just a guiding document. When you submit your application and the score what you get, that shall be governed by this act. So this tool will still give you some idea of where you stand, and this is absolutely free. So once we scroll down, you see here, use this tool if you are eligible for at least one Express Entry program. I made another detailed video on how to check if you're eligible for Express Entry program or not. The link will be there in the description. And you have not filled out Express Entry profile, but you would like to see what your comprehensive score is. If you do, or you were invited to apply for permanent residency and wanted to see if a change to your profile may affect your CRS score. So change to profile happens when you are changing, for example, your age changes, your marital status changes, your education credential, there is some, upgrade which has happened while you're there in the pool. All those changes make changes to the score what is given here. So you can also check based on what you're entering, how much score is being given in this tool. So this tool will capture the point what is given here in this sheet. Let me come back. What is your marital status? So I'm selecting married. Is your spouse or common law partner a citizen or permanent resident of Canada? You select the response between yes or no. Here I'm selecting no. Will your spouse or common law partner come with you to Canada? I'm selecting yes. And then how old are you? So you read this. If you have been invited to apply, enter your age on the date you were invited. So keep this in mind. Or if you plan to complete an Express Entry profile, enter your current age. So what you need to understand or remember is, if your date of birth is coming in near future, that is in few days or few months, you'll have to factor and then choose the age accordingly. Because after you enter the pool, if the age changes, you lose point in some scenario which you can go and check in the CRS score tool which I showed just now. So here select the age, and once you select what is your level of education, again here enter the highest level of education for which you earned a Canadian degree, diploma or certificate. So if you have studied in Canada, then this will be applicable for you. If you have not studied in Canada, then you have to get a education credential assessment. Again, if you go to the Express Entry eligibility video, you will see how and where this can be got. So there, once you go through this, you will get your education equivalency in terms of Canada. Your degree might be equal to degree in Canada, or it might not be. So based on that education credential assessment, you will get from the agency what your education stand. So once you have that, you come here and then you select based on that. Otherwise, there is no use if you select and the education credential agency says it is not equivalent to what you think, then of course it is going to impact your score. For example, say you have done your degree and masters outside of Canada in your country, and in terms of the equivalency, the master is not considered equivalent to master in Canada, and you're assigned that it is equivalent to degree. In that case, instead of you selecting the master's degree as the highest, you will select 2 or more certificate, diploma or degrees. So again, once you select this, the scores changes. There is an impact what you get for master's, PhD or 2 or more certificate, bachelor's degree. So this is the highest, then second highest, third highest, fourth highest, and as it keeps going backwards. So that you can find here in the level of education. See, for doctor level university degree, if you are with spouse, you get this point. If you are without, you get this point. Accordingly, masters with spouse, without spouse, 2 or more certificate, with spouse, without spouse. So this is how this calculator starts capturing the detail. So in this case, I'm selecting PhD. And then once we come down here, have you earned a Canadian degree, diploma or certificate? To answer yes, English or French as second language must not have been made up more than half your study. You must not have studied under award that required you to return to home country after graduation to apply your skill and knowledge. You must have studied at school within Canada. Foreign campuses don't count. So you can read this. I'm selecting no here. Then comes the official language. Canada's official language are English or French. You need to submit language test results that are less than 2-year-old for all program under Express Entry, even if English or French is your first language. So if you're applying from outside, so here are your test results less than 2-year-old. I'm selecting yes. If it is not less than 2-year-old, then you will have to appear for the exam and have the test result with. Which language test did you take for your first official language? So here I am selecting English. So English, these are the language tests. CELPIP G, that is general. IELTS, again, it's general. PTE core. So you can select any one of the exam you have given. And here I am selecting IELTS. If it is French, then you select this. So remember this draw here, French language proficiency. So someone who had selected the first language as French and was meeting this criteria, they were invited. Coming back here, I have selected IELTS and let me come down. Here you have to enter the score, what you have. So even if you don't have, when I was coming to Canada, I use this tool to know what should be my target score to get to the highest point. So I selected 7.5 to 9. So if you have 7.5 in speaking, minimum, listening 8.5, reading 8 and writing 7.5. So 7.5, 8.5, 8, 7.5, you get the highest IELTS score. So this is the official language score table and the Canadian language benchmark. See, they have given this level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or more. Here, by getting this score, I know that I will get CLB 10 or more. So once this is done, again, depending on what your IELTS score is, this score will change. Remember that. But I use this to keep a target in mind on what score I need to get. Do you have other language result? So here I have selected IELTS, that is English. And if I have French, these are the two options. If you don't have, just select not applicable like I'm doing. If you have, then you get additional point, which is here. Since it is the second official language, the point system shows like this. So I've selected not applicable. So there's no point for this. Coming to the work experience, in last 10 years, how many years of skill work experience in Canada do you have? So for example, I don't have any experience in Canada, none or less than a year, that gets selected. In last 10 years, how many total year of foreign skilled work experience do you have? It must be paid full-time or equal amount in part-time and in only one occupation. That is, any occupation which you choose, in that occupation, you will select how many years of minimum experience you have in the last 10 years. So in the Express Entry profile video, in the Express Entry eligibility video, I have covered this part on what is considered full-time, what is considered, part-time, and even if you work for 60 hours a week in a company, what is the threshold which IRCC has when it comes to full-time. So all those things I have covered in the other video. So here you will select the number of years. So you have none or less than a year, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year or more. So here what it signifies is if you have anything more than 3 years, you will get the same point. Even if you have 15 years, 16 years of experience, you will get point what a 3-year experience person will get. So select this. And then do you have a certificate of qualification from Canadian province, territorial or federal body? So read through this. This is for the skill trade and, province, territories and federal body related certificate. You can read this. Here my response is no. And then you also get some additional point. Do you have a valid job offer supported by labor market impact assessment if needed? This is not mandatory, but if you have, then, the job offer must be full-time. A skill job in this category. Again, my other video covers this in detail on what this category is and what national occupation classification. You can go and check that video. So a job offer isn't valid if your employer is an embassy, high commission or consulate in Canada or list of ineligible employers. I have again made a video on especially on the labor market impact assessment, how some of the companies have been put penalty because of certain lack of information, and you can go and check that video. Whether an offer is valid or not also depends on different factor depending on your case. So you can go and check this part. Here I'm selecting no, I don't have a job offer. Do you have a nomination certificate from province or territory? I'm selecting no here. Do you or your spouse or common law partner, if they come with you to Canada, have at least one brother or sister living in Canada who is a citizen or permanent resident? Again, you get point for this. If someone is here, I'm selecting no. What is the highest level of education for which your spouse or common law partner has earned a Canadian degree, diploma or certificate, or has education credential assessment that must be approved from agency in the last 5 years? So similarly, how you got your education credential assessment done, if spouse is coming, if they have, then you can go and choose this part. So for the spouse, you see here, they don't get the same point like what you get for the education credential. Depending on the spouse education level, you get these points. So select based on whatever the education credential is. Once that is made, come down. In the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada does your spouse or common law partner have? So I'm selecting none, nothing in Canada. Did your spouse or common law partner take language test? If so, which one? So I'm selecting IELTS and then enter the test result, what was got. Okay, here for the spouse again, if you look at the language test score, you see here, it's not a big impact like what is there in the primary applicant, but still these points are valuable. It's 1, 3, 5. You see this. Once all this is done and you click here, calculate your score, you get instant result and you get to see what is your total score. Once you come down here from this 600 point, remember the provincial nominee is not here and the total score right now is 600 and the score what is got is 498. What you're getting with the selections what is made. So you know where you stand. If you have your education credentials and language proficiency test result, then you know for sure what your score is going to be. Otherwise, this is again hypothetical scenario. But still you get some idea of what is the maximum point you can get to enter the pool. Then this tool is free. You must use it and there is no need to pay anyone. This tool will give you some guiding factor on where you stand or what your target has to be or how you can improve your score looking at this overall score table. I hope you find this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching.